Hi, I'm Lori Flowers, and I live in High Point, North Carolina. I'm happy to be here and appreciate the opportunity to share my story. I was a victim of a crypto-enabled transnational crime in 2022. If my remarks have the intended impact, you'll understand how my scammers needed crypto to succeed, and you'll grasp the consequences that I and other fraud survivors continue to suffer for years after the theft. My scam started on the professional networking site LinkedIn in January 2022. The scammer posed as an engineer from Brussels planning to move to my area and had questions about local COVID vaccination rates. What followed was a nearly six-month period of manipulation and financial grooming. The person, or more accurately, the criminal organization, gained my trust and wove quite a tale with forged documents and spoof phone numbers to ultimately steal $675,000. I was a public school teacher in North Carolina for 5 years, and for the past 25+ years, I've built a career in the pharmaceutical industry that's allowed me to take care of myself and my family. Sitting here in front of you is the last place I thought I'd ever be. It was not a knee-jerk reaction to liquefy my retirement account. We were in constant communication for 4 months before my scammer brought up the subject of money. Honestly, it's a networks-worthy story, but we don't have time for the gory details. The punchline is I was asked to loan him money for equipment since his investors had pulled out. He needed the money urgently in order to secure the deal. I was assured through made-up contracts and falsified communications with his bank that I would be paid back as soon as he was able to set up his U.S. bank account. He expected that to be within 90 days. The initial funds from my 401k were sent via ACH. Next, my scammer concocted a story about misdirected funds and asked me to recall the wire. There were 2 reasons for that ruse: to create a window for those dollars to get dispersed in amounts that were not worth tracing, and more importantly, to set up the need to use crypto for future transactions. Naturally, he had another emergency. These scams are literally scripted. I was coerced into taking out 2 personal loans, and this time I was instructed to send the proceeds via cryptocurrency. After all, we had so much trouble with the wire. This was calculated. Side note, and also ironic, I was instructed to purchase tether coins. What a surprise.
What a surprise.
Before the scam, I had never purchased crypto. I wasn't knowledgeable or interested in it, but by all accounts, it appeared to be a safe and practical payment system. There are commercials for exchanges all over network TV. Celebrities endorse it. Crypto platforms have naming rights over stadiums, and there's crypto ATMs at convenience stores all over the country. Even the president is hawking his own meme coin. By the time I was instructed to set up a wallet and initiate the transfer, it only made sense to use the most expeditious way to move money. Crypto is the currency of choice for crooks. It enabled transnational criminals to steal my money in a way that made recovery impossible. It's a friction-free way to drain the bank accounts of U.S. citizens and, interestingly, line the pockets of many members and family members of this administration. It's no wonder the crypto bros are rooting for the Clarity Act. The financial consequences of my crypto-enabled scam continue to be devastating. Sitting here with you as my audience, it would be a missed opportunity if I didn't disclose that I owe income tax on the stolen money due to the elimination of the theft loss deduction in the TCJA. Because I did not fall for the right type of scam, I owe taxes, penalties, and interest exceeding more than $200,000. Add that to the personal loans for which I'm responsible, and I was left with no choice but to file for Chapter 13 bankruptcy to meet those obligations. On Friday, I made my 35th out of 60 payments of $5,690. I cannot rebuild my nest egg. The bankruptcy has ruined my credit until 2030, impacted my insurance premiums, even prevented me from co-signing for my son's post-grad apartment. I'm no longer prepared for a medical emergency or a job loss. I'm proud to share my story, though, today and to shed light on how these criminal organizations were able to rob me. To succeed, they needed crypto. In my opinion, there are a lot of things the government can do to protect us from scam-related losses and to provide recourse for victims. Passing the clarity is not one of them. We cannot continue to give any of the bad guys the easy button. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Ms. Flowers, and thanks for being here and sharing that story, which I know is difficult for you to recount. Mr. Stark?
Thank you. Ranking Member Blumenthal, Senior Member Van Hollen, and Senator Durbin, thank you for the honor of letting me appear before you today. Imagine a Surgeon General who spends his weekends filming cigarette commercials, or a fire marshal who tours the country selling kerosene and space heaters to families living in wooden houses, or a lifeguard who charges swimmers admission to the Riptide. That is precisely what has happened at the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission. Paul Atkins, the chair of the agency created amid the wreckage of the crash of 1929 to stand between the investing public and engineered euphoria, has become the loudest promoter of the most dangerous, most demonstrably worthless, and most crime-enabling asset class in the history of American finance. Just ask the question every analyst asks of every asset, including the mathematical, computational blather of crypto. What am I buying? Crypto tokens have no cash flow, no yield, no earnings, no employee, no products, no balance sheet, no claim of anything, a boundless data vacuum that makes genuine valuation impossible and leaves only one price support: the arrival of the next buyer. Valuation is a mashup of empty-headed hype, social proof, and FOMO. And Atkins, our Chief Investor Protection Officer, has made himself its fiercest pitchman. When the head of the agency built to police Ponzi schemes personally tours conferences, podcasts, television studios, and social media promoting a so-called asset class whose returns depend entirely on recruiting later buyers, while gleefully abandoning his mission of investor protection, there is only one title that fits: Chief Ponzi Officer. And his next act is already in rehearsal. The SEC, where I worked for almost 20 years, including 11 years as chief of the Office of Internet Enforcement, last week reshuffled its enforcement leadership, and the forecast is a shiny new era of retail investor protection built on regulation best interests, Reg BI, the rule that prohibits a financial professional from recommending an investment unless it is in the customer's best interest. Yet how could it ever be in a retail customer's best interest to buy an asset with no financial statements, no prospectus, no earnings, no federal audits, no insurance, no recourse when the private key disappears?